Well, dear friends, today we have a special bulletin. We have two of our friends from our friendly countries, from Chile, from Slovenia, and I do hope that this would be a very interesting occasion. We will all share our opinions, we share our views, we share our takes on the world, on the situation here in Donbass, and I'm very glad that I could share my own experience about the battalion, about the situation here, about my own life with these very interesting people. So let's start with you. So could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Borut. I'm from Slovenia, like you said. I am the co-founder of DD Geopolitics, which is basically an international media collective presence on multiple social media platforms. Pretty big, pretty popular, but it's a group of political military analysts. We cover news. So that's pretty much a short form of it.
Oh, sure. That's very interesting. And how about you?
Hi, thank you for the invitation. I'm Javier Pineda from Chile. I'm director of the El Ciudadano. It's a newspaper. The translation of El Ciudadano is The Citizen. We cover news about all the world, but mainly Latin American region and also in Chile, my country.
Oh, right. So I do welcome you here in Russian Federation, in Donbass, and I hope that you find our city of Donetsk very welcoming. I hope you find it a very fine city. And, well, unfortunately, as you have, probably a little tour at our city streets, you have noticed that there are lots of buildings that are heavily damaged as a result of massive artillery shelling by the Ukrainian forces. And mind you that it started not like during special military operation in 2022. The conflict has been dragged on from 2014, and thousands of tons of artillery shells, of missiles, of all kinds of munitions were used against civilian buildings. You have noticed that it's not the military installations, it's not some kind of military targets, it's just normal civilian buildings, apartment buildings where people live. It's heavily damaged by artillery fire. And I do wonder, the media coverage in your countries, well, it's not exactly a Western world, because Chile is a very exotic nation. It has its own microcosm, but for Slovenia, I guess it's much more close to home, this conflict that has been dragged from 2014. And I'm wondering, how is media coverage actually pictures our war since 2014, and as has it dragged on up to 2022?
I mean, in Slovenia now, let's just go from now to back, let's say.
Right.
And as most, let's say, Western media companies or media collectives that followed the conflict, you could probably pull up now old CNN articles that would critically cover the war since 2014. And the shelling of civilian infrastructure in buildings was covered. But then, of course, in 2022 it stopped. And the same in Slovenia, basically. It wasn't the war in Donbass was covered, of course. It wasn't main news, main headlines as it can be now, but it was critically covered. Now it's basically, I would say, compared to Western Europe or American media, which is pretty hawkish, still kind of neutral. They will not claim anything. They will just cite, let's say, Russian side says this, Ukrainian side says this. They won't kind of pick a side, at least the major news networks. But overall, you can definitely see a shift from critically covering before 2022 and then kind of a little change in the coverage after 2022.
Well, okay, but it's still good to see at least some unbiased, element of it, because the most Western media, especially in countries like Poland, they are extremely, as you said, hawkish. They are extremely biased and extremely partisan in their coverage of our conflict. And I wonder, in such a remote country that is like a world on its own, in Chile, how does media coverage our conflict back then and right now?
Well, I think that the majority of the media in Chile support the position of the Western media.
Oh.
We are the exception of that because we have a multipolarity. We inform by ourselves about what happened in different places of the world. So, for example, we understand that the frame in 2014 was a coup of state in Ukraine, but the majority of the media say that it's a spring revolution against the corruption. But if you check the information now, you even could find more corruption in Ukraine than that time. Exactly. But and after that, when Russia initiated the special military operation, they support the Western media frame, and that say that Russia committed an invasion to Ukraine. But we have a good relationship with media from Russia, so we can understand that is a necessary politics to prevent the damage against the civil population in Donbass and in other places. So I think that this is the big difference, the frame that we can use. For example, we use the Telegram channel from the Donbass or what can inform Russia Today or Sputnik. And after that, we can contrast with the Western media and we can show that it's not coincidence, the information, and I can verify now in the field what really happened. And if you speak with the people or talk with the people, you can find other frame that what really happened here. And I think that the 1 or 2 years after that start the military special operation, the frame changed. Because all the time they say that Russia want to win in the first 1 year, and after that Russia maybe collapse. But we can discover that doesn't happen, and now it's very similar with the situation with Iran. All the time they say that Iran failed very fast, and now you can see that Iran have a strong position. And now I think that the last year, the majority of the Western media, even in Chile, doesn't cover what happened here because Russia is gaining more field or recover territory in the Donbass. So they don't talk about that. Even when BBC or CNN cover something, they replicate that. But in Chile or in South America, with the exception of Telesur or other TV alternative media, doesn't cover what happened now.
Oh, all right. And now, as after elections, as a new president who is a big fan of Donald Trump and is very conservative in his politics, some would say he's like even a fan of Augusto Pinochet. Yes. Do you think the coverage of our conflict would change with the government change, or would it stay basically the same?
No, it's the same because they doesn't understand what happened here. For example, they think that Russia is the same that the Soviet Union in politics, for example. They try in Chile, in Argentina and Colombia say that Russia support the leftists to destabilize what happened in our countries, but without any proof or with any real information about that, so they only replicate.
They're stuck in Salvatore Allende times, we could say.
Yes, it's ridiculous because, for example, if you listen Donald Trump is bargaining or negotiate with the President Putin, or they try to negotiate, but they people, for example, Cast, Milei, support a lot Trump, but they don't recognize what his people say about what happened in Russia with Ukraine. For example, Trump sometimes is very critical what happened in Ukraine or with Zelensky. But I think that it doesn't matter what happened and try to invent and configure a reality doesn't exist here. And it's very particular. Main in the last week, we can listen this speech in all countries.
Yeah. And as I understand, this day was a very special day for you because you have witnessed what not many people from Western media or media at all have ever witnessed. You have witnessed training grounds for Maxim Krianov's battalions, the training programs and the troopers that are making their exercise, that are training to go for the combat roles, their combat specialties. You know, you have seen the process. It's something that is very unique because it's not, you know, a part of larger formations. It's not a part of Russian military forces. It's completely volunteer. It's made from the ground up by people who volunteered to serve in this battalion. They made it all by themselves without major backing from, you know, the government, from anyone. So we basically made it all ourselves. And I do believe that you find our training programs are pretty much on par with most regular militaries, despite it was all made by people. And I do wonder what you have seen today. Do you have any strong impression on what you see? What are your opinion? What are your feelings about what you have seen?
I was actually in this lucky position that I visited the training grounds back in December 2024 already. And from then to now, I have to say I'm really impressed with the scale of how you upgraded the demonstrations, how many demonstrations, the whole tour, the locations, the viewing positions, everything is amazing. But today I was very impressed. I would say a lot of new technologies that are in basically the standard now in modern warfare. A lot of demonstrations of drone usage. It's pretty interesting. The whole, my favorite part, or I particularly enjoyed, like the whole combined, let's say, drone stormtrooper type operations.
Yeah.
Which was like what I mentioned before. The vantage point was so good, you could really see how to clear out trenches, how with the help of drones, with the help of Overwatch, as they say.
Yeah. And I'm personally very fond of our joint combined operations because, you know, I myself is a striker drone pilot, and for many years we have, you know, perfected the tactics of using the drones and infantry. It was said that Americans revolutionized, you know, the joint combat operations. But it was on the scale of, you know, larger air force and close air support covering the troops. We have to work with what we have. We don't have the resources to have, you know, helicopters and jet flights, but we compensated with the smaller drones, and you have seen how effective they could be despite their, you know, very cheap and very disposable, and yet they are managing to do what Americans are able to do with CAS, you know, with helicopters and lots of $1 million equipment. We do that on a scale that even a battalion level, you know, formation could do.
Of course, but you can see also there is no way in like a peer-to-peer military. You can even if Americans, you could see even in Iran how quickly their CSAR mission went pretty bad after the F-15 was shot down. Modern warfare does not allow. Especially if you have a country like Russia or even Ukraine is pumped with Western military equipment, you have a layered coverage of air defense. You can forget about close air support or large-scale maneuver warfare as Americans invented it. So this is the new reality, and
I hope that we are adapting to it pretty well.
Pretty fast and pretty well, yes.
And what are your opinion on what you have seen?
I have a coincidence what you say, because it's very impressive, a unique opportunity to see in the ground how works, the dynamic between the anti-tanks army, the infantry, with the drones. So I never see something like that, and even in a real field of battle. So it's very impressive for me. I can understand in a better way what I read in the parts of military reports when you say, we combat with the drones and tanks. So it's very impressive to see that in the field. And also, I think that it's very interesting the conversation, the talk with the military there, when they explain why they decide to be there and why they choose in some cases to, they belong to Ukraine but decide now to combat for the Russian Federation, for the Donbass, and for the liberation of the territory. So I think that it's very interesting to know why they decide and who they live now in this battalion.
Yeah, and as you say, there are very interesting and unique in a way, not just for the application of technology or tactics or anything else, but the motivations of the people, their stories, their backgrounds. As the most soldiers in the unit are actually former Ukrainian servicemen who decided to, to form their own volunteer battalion to fight the regime that currently holds the Kiev, because many of our people don't agree with whatever the Kiev was doing since 2014. In 2014 it was just Donbass that rebelled against them, and some cities like Odessa, Kharkov, they tried to put up some resistance, but were brutally, killed. As you know, in the 2nd of May 2014, the people who were peacefully defending, the Odessa with barely melee weapons and their fists were attacked, they were slaughtered and burned in the building. And it was a strategy. As I understand, even the European Court has mentioned that it's indeed a war crime. In the last year, they actually made a mandate for the Ukrainian government to pay reparations for people who were, both survivors of the incident and for the families of those who died in Odessa. And as special military operations started, there were lots of people all around Ukraine who were also, against this kind of Nazi bullshit that Zelensky doing, and many of them were unfortunately dragged to the service of Ukrainian military, just like I was. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't on the territory of that was held by Russia, despite I was born in Mariupol, and I hope that you would visit our city soon, as I heard, and you will see firsthand what those bastards done to the city that was ruined to the ground, but now it's like a phoenix. It's keeping up very fast. It's growing very fast, it's rebuilding, but in 2022, the Nazi battalions like Azov, the mercenaries, they leveled it practically to the ground. And many people all around Ukraine, they seen it, they didn't want to fight for this regime, basically the fascists, and they decided to, some would say defect, but I don't see this as a defection. I do believe actually they were standing ground for actually what they believe in, what their heart is. Because I personally, when I had an opportunity to escape Ukrainian military, I had to crawl for 2 miles to a Russian position, risking my life under the drones and the minefield to reach the position and to cut my ties with the Ukrainian military. So I risked my life. Fortunately for people who are trying to do the same today, we actually help them. You have probably heard that we have 10 people who were exfilled from Ukrainian ranks by our battalion troopers who made a daring operation to actually help them. And via Telegram bot, our Telegram channel has a feedback bot that helps anyone who wants to get away from Ukrainian military, be it mobilized or disillusioned soldiers, or even maybe foreign volunteers who, as you said, the Western coverage and even, the South American coverage, they just, they lie about it. And people from Colombia, for example, they go to Ukraine to fight and then they ran out and call their relatives in these desperate YouTube videos to say that we fight the wrong war. So we can help these people if they contact us on Telegram bot, and we will try to pull them out of that. And I do wonder, what do you feel and how do you see our people, who made this decision? Do you think isn't it right for them to stay and fight against what someone would probably call the traitors, but I do believe we are actually fighting for what was the true nation, not just for Russian interests or something, not for money like many mercenaries do, but what we truly believe in. And I wonder, what are your opinion on our people, our motivation?
I think they deserve the deepest respect. If you think about it, a lot of them have still family in Kiev-controlled territories. So you have to make a decision, which is pretty hard. You will probably lose communication with family. Maybe revenge can be taken on family members. All this you have to take into consideration. But I totally can see how people would choose this. You can daily we post on our channel. We stop posting them, but daily you have videos of forced mobilization. It's getting more and more brutal. So people don't want to fight. As for you said, and I agree with you, it's not being a traitor. It's actually fighting for your people. I think that is the correct way of putting it.
Yeah, it's very kind words, and it's a true words, at least from my position. I wonder, you from a distant country that has a probably unbiased opinion because it doesn't concern you immediately, so how do you feel about it?
I respect that decision. I think with the majority of the people that I talk, they want the peace. And I think that they understand the possibility of the peace and finish all the war is winning the war with the Russian Federation, but also for their families, no? Yeah. If they want to stop the war, they need to stop now. And if you look the Ukrainian position, they maybe are disposed or to finish with every people from Ukraine until finish the war.
Yeah, just like Zelensky said, he will fight till the last Ukrainian. It's not like he's counting for them, It's the people's lives who will be lost, not his anything.
Yes, I read a lot about that, and you can verify that thing in the field, no? Yeah. How many people from Ukraine dead all the time, and how at least this day I can verify how in the military operation decide to save the life and use other methods. Sometimes they are slow than if you put all the bombs or all the tactics that you have, but to protect the people, the civil people, and also our people, that is the military people.
Yeah, I think that's another example from the history of South America. You have probably heard about Paraguay War, when the local dictator actually, fought until the 80% of male population had been perished in this war. And that's exactly what Zelensky is doing. So
that happened in the history of Paraguay twice, in the first cycle and after with I forget the name of the dictator, but happened that thing.
Yeah. And as you have seen today, our battalion, you have heard the stories of our people, you have seen, the city of Donetsk that is heavily scarred by this war that's been dragged for 2014 and reignited in 2022. And unfortunately, even still, there are drones, there are long-range missiles, the Western-made missiles that are still sometimes are able to get through the defenses and hit the city, often, helpless population as well. And I wonder, as a reporters, what would you like to say to our viewers, for the people who are watching our channel, watching our sources, and genuinely interested in an opinion of people who can give unbiased mention of it from from behind the new Iron Curtain?
I mean, I would say, for me personally, I have always had respect and admiration for the Donbass, Donetsk as a city, its people. For me, coming here, and this is my third time now in Donetsk, it was very, very surreal experience, because we as a media collective, we covered the war, obviously. We've started the channel in 2022. But looking through clips, 10, 15-second clips of Kievsky district getting bombed again and again and again, to actually visiting and seeing it, it's a very surreal experience. So I would say we will try to put your message out as much as we can, as much as we have been doing.
Yeah, and I'm very glad that you do. We need this coverage desperately, because it's often that the words are really, sound louder than their drones.
Yes, of course. I think there's not a lot of us, I guess, in let's say alternative media, multipolar-oriented media, but the numbers are growing, and I think more and more voices are breaking through. But there's also, let's say, a little fatigue on the other side. People are starting to wake up, starting to open their eyes, and a new sphere in media is forming, especially on social media. You can verify information or put out breaking news pretty fast, quite faster. You can debunk information, you can debunk lies in real time. This is what we do. This is what we will continue to do, because we need to, and I think it's our duty. I think it's the truth needs to come out one way or another. And despite all the obstacles we faced, especially we're operating in, let's say, Western controlled social media, with all the bannings, on the deboostings, deplatforming, demonetizations, but we still push through because we have to.
Thank you. And I wonder what you have to say to our viewers, to our channel, and maybe you have something to say, from your unique perspective as, representatives from South America, very distant from ours. What would you have to say to our viewers?
Yes, I can say that the truth is the first thing die in a war. So it's very important to contrast the information. For example, I follow all the conflict, all the world, and now in the field, I can say that what I read about what happened in Donbass is the position that support alternative channels in the field, and that support Raj, really. Yeah. For example, happened the same with Iran. Yeah. If you read, since the first day, you can verify what happened after the second day, the third day, the 1 month, or the second month. Here, if we recover all the information in your channel or in other channels, you can contrast and say they tell us the truth, and they analyze is true or is proximate to the reality. Because, for example, I remember a lot of things of the Western media that say really shit about what happened here, and if you recover that articles now, you say, but who write this thing? why they don't defend that position now, because they lie a lot about different issues. So I think that it's important verify in the field or talk with the people that know about what happened, and that thing allow us to develop our own analysis based in the reality of South America. For example, my newspaper is the only one in Chile that support really position of the multipolarity. The majority of the newspaper, not the people. For example, 60% of the people support more China than United States. But the 90% of the newspapers support United States against China or Russia. So it's not the people, it's the elite of the country or the political party, majority in the country that support that position. So I think that is very interesting and comprehensive exercise. Understand what happened here, talk with the people that suffer in the reality, and also I have a peace message, no? All want the peace, but just peace, so you need to develop the conflict, and we hope that finish soon, and the people can come back to their realities, their houses, and finish the war. But sadly, the Western elite in countries as
a lot of money into this conflict and the water cut.
Yes, they want the money and they want the chaos in the world, and we can verify that with Donald Trump, with Europe elites, that they want to continue in the war against the people. So we need to are prepared for that, but we hope in the soon peace.
I get it. And lastly, I hope that you have a few words, not just for the viewers, but for the members of our battalion. If you have to say just in a few words, what would be your actually message to the operatives?
To your
battalion,
I would say you have to realize you are heroes in probably a lot of eyes. Don't think too much what the Kiev regime says about you or what the Western media writes about you. Be proud of what you do, because you are fighting for the right cause.
No, thank you. That's very, very important words.
Yes. About 2 years ago, I talked with an old man in Kherson for the presidential election, and they told me that they, for Ukrainian army or Zelensky, want to change my heroes. So now my old father is not a hero, and who my old father fight against the Nazis are the new heroes. So he said, don't change my heroes. My old father, my grandfather is my hero, so I want to fight against the Nazis. And I think that that similarity is what are you doing now.
Yes, thank you. And I thank you all our viewers, all our friends who are joining us today as our guests. We hope that you definitely would like this unique interview, that you like the things that you hear. We hope you will have a great week. Like, comment, subscribe. It was Eric. Till next time.